All right, let's get going into the good stuff here. So, we are going to be talking this week about omega-3 and diabetes. And Dr. Saunders did some research and wrote a really good article that I'll share the link to that article directly with you. I'll do that in the chat here in a bit. But so Dr. Saunders, I was reading the article and there was a quote that I really liked, and then I have a question to start you off. Okay, so you said that sugar doesn't cause diabetes by itself. Silenced cells do. Omega-3s are how you turn the volume back up. So let's talk a little bit about how diabetes is not just a sugar disease, but an information problem. And how does viewing it as this like communication failure change how we approach handling it?
Okay, there's a lot of things going on, and we like to simplify everything. And what's the bottom line? What's the one thing? Okay, so a lot of these things are necessary but not sufficient. You have to have enough glucose. You have to have enough sugar. If you're not eating any sugar at all, you're not going to get diabetes because you don't have any. So that's not going to happen. So it's not a one thing, but then also just eating sugar isn't enough to give you diabetes either. So people who have even type 1 diabetes go on a very high carbohydrate, low fat diet, and they do very well. Their insulin needs go down, they improve, and here they're living on carbs. They're just eating tons of carbs and fruit and grains and nuts and seeds and everything. Um, and but what they don't eat is fat. And so here's where that kind of gets in, where you mix the two, the fat with the sugar is the bad thing. Why? Well, because you're communicating a lot of different things. So that's where that communication thing enters in, where you're communicating to the cell that, hey, there's a lot of fat around and there's a lot of sugar around. And so store. So you raise your insulin levels. And there's a reason for that. There's really only, like, if you want to simplify everything. Okay, so here it comes down to the one thing. What's the one thing? Insulin. If you read Jason Fung's book called the Obesity Code, which applies also to diabetes type 2, is the problem is insulin. So when there's a lot of fat, that makes you insulin resistant. And if you're eating omega-6, that makes you more insulin resistant. Omega-3 is telling your body that you can, that is decreasing inflammation, so you don't have as much inflammation. So omega-3 helps things to move better. And so in moving better, you can bring more glucose into the cells. It's not being blocked by inflammation. So that's where that communication part comes in. Omega-3 makes a big difference compared to omega-6. And here in the United States, at least, the average is somewhere around 15 times more omega-6 than omega-3. That's a huge gap. What should it be? 1 to 1. That's the optimal. Okay, if you're 2 to 1, that's okay. Up to 4 to 1 is still acceptable, but 15 to 1, that's a lot. And why? Because omega-6 causes inflammation and omega-3 suppresses inflammation. So you have this a ton of oils that cause inflammation and only a little bit of oils that suppress inflammation. So what are you going to get? Inflammation. That's where all that comes in. And when you have that, you do not use sugar effectively. You don't get it into the cells effectively. Your energy systems don't work as well. Someone came in to me yesterday, just yesterday, saying, I can't think clearly. I have brain fog. I'm not, and we had done tests on her, and I'm not working. My brain isn't working well, and I don't have energy. I can't get going in the morning. So we had done some tests on her, and her tests showed that she had 13 times more omega-6 than omega-3. And her inflammatory markers were up. And she had mild insulin resistant, not bad insulin resistant, mild. Just she had a little bit of elevated blood sugar and a little bit of elevated insulin. So it was 2.8, her HOMA-IR, which is an insulin resistance index. And so it should be around one or less than one is ideal, but around one is okay. And she was 2.8, and that's kind of mild. So here you have this information problem. The energy systems aren't working right. So how is she going to burn off that extra sugar that she's eating? How's she going to do that? She doesn't have any energy. Her brain's not going to do it because her brain's not functional. Her brain it's not getting glucose into the brain because of the insulin resistance. So this is yeah, I try to make everything really simple, but it's not that simple. So that's why the omega-3s are such an important part of it. But you can't say cause, it's not because you lack omega-3s, you're going to get diabetes. You have to have the multitude of factors that enter in, and that's one of them.
Interesting, very interesting. Okay. So talk a little bit about, you mentioned in the article that the insulin receptors need to move and cluster within the cell membrane. So how does omega-3 physically change that cell wall? Like how, tell me about that.
Oh, that is so interesting.
Yeah, it
So
sounds very interesting.
So, membranes are not like walls. They're more like fluid, and they're fat globules that are in an aqueous, a liquid water solution. So you know how water and oil don't mix? Um, the oil is kind of in this solution, but inside the cell walls itself, the membrane of the cell, the proteins need to be able to move around in there. The it's not it's not just like things go through a hole, like glucose goes through a hole. That's not the way it works. The way it works is the insulin receptor allows the glucose to come in, and then it closes around and closes around the membrane, and the membrane comes into the cell, breaks open, and releases the glucose. And then those fatty acids are used and put back into the cell membrane again. And this is a fluid process that's going on. It's just an amazingly a constant fluid process where these vesicles, they're called, are coming from the membrane into the cell, opening up, releasing their contents, and then all those fatty acids go back into the membrane and reform the membrane. And this is just going on constantly. If you have a hard cell, if your cell has a lot of omega-6, trans fatty acids, if they're oxidized fatty acids, then they don't work well. That process is stiffened and it doesn't happen.
Okay, so that must be where in the article you were talking about gumming up the
Yep.
machinery and
Yep.
how they're like the cellular lubricant.
Yeah. Yeah. Omega-3s are like a lubricant. They just allow this fluid to flow nicely.
Okay, okay. You also warned against taking the fish oil while still consuming high amounts of seed oils. So why and what are like the most common like hidden like where are those, I guess that would be what the sixes sneaking in.
Yeah, the
They're
omega-6s
sneaky little
sneak in.
guys.
Yeah, they are. Okay, so the point was not that you can't take them together. The point is you're not going to have a lot of benefit by taking fish oil if you're still taking, corn oil, which is 30 times more omega-6 than omega-3. So if you're living on like sunflower oil and safflower oil and corn oil, vegetable oils, and you're taking this little bit of fish oil, that's not going to be like the answer. That's the point that's supposed to be making. Is yes, you need the omega-3, but you also have to lower your omega-6. That's it.
Okay, so once again, it's that ratio that's
Yeah.
what's important.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So if we get into, we have some questions in the chat about, supplementing in the Q&A here. Lori wants to know what's the best supplement, what dosage should it be, and what are some foods containing the omega-3s other than salmon that we could eat every day?
Okay, good question. Okay, there are a lot of oils that contain omega-3, but remember we're looking for a ratio. We're looking for the more omega-3 than omega-6. So corn oil has a little bit of omega-3 in it, but it's got 30 times more omega-6, so that's not going to give us a good ratio. And walnut oil, people go, well, walnut oil is a great essential fatty acid because it has a lot of omega-3 and a lot of omega-6, but it still has 4 times more omega-6 than omega-3. So you're still not going to get a better ratio. Yes, it's okay, but walnut oil is not a good option there either. And part of the problem is omega-6 is in every oil, absolutely everyone, even beef tallow and coconut oil and palm kernel oil all have omega-6 in them, but they have zero omega-3. So you're getting some of these essential oils, but to change the ratio, there are only three foods. So your question was what foods, right? And that's flax seeds, chia seeds, and fish. And the fish doesn't have to be salmon. I've taken salmon oil, but salmon oil is relatively low in omega-3. What's the there's uh, sardines are actually pretty good. Mackerel is pretty good. So and salmon is okay. Salmon is good. It's one of the higher ones. Um, what's the what's the one that the Danish people eat on the street? You see them putting it in their mouth. Anyway,
Joe,
uh,
Google that, will you?
herring.
Sure.
I think it's herring. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Okay.
Herring is the number one, like the highest level of omega-3 to omega-6 ratio. So yeah, they're all pretty good, but herring has the highest amount.
Does it matter how the fish is prepared? Like, d does any of it like cook off? Like, I know my mother used to eat a lot of pickled herring.
Yeah.
Or does it matter if it's baked, broiled,
No, the oils are oils, but if they're under high heat, they will tend to oxidize. Omega-3 oils oxidize, just like omega-6 oils do.
Mhm.
But omega-6 oils don't have as many double bonds. That's where the fluidity we're talking about um, in the fluidity in the cell membranes is better with omega-3, but they also oxidize more. So you got to keep your cod liver oil in the refrigerator. If you're taking fish oil, you get the Barton fish oil and you put it in the refrigerator. And I had somebody today, really just today, tell me, yeah, it's in the refrigerator. I keep forgetting it. It's right there in the door when I open it, but I forget to take the oil out and take it because we're doing a test on his omega-6 to omega-3 ratio. So yeah, keep it in the refrigerator and don't forget every time you open the refrigerator, you go, oh, I'll take one of those fish oils and then take the fish oil.
I never, so we should store it in the refrigerator.
Yeah, that's ideal. It oxidizes less quickly if it's in the refrigerator. Omega-3 oils they're highly unsaturated, and so they can oxidize. So it's better to keep them in the refrigerator.
Okay, I did not know that. That is really good information to know. Okay, so clearly with chia seeds, flax seeds, and then the fish, all the fishes, there
Yeah,
are a lot of people who are not going to get the amount of omega-3s that they need. So clearly
I
a
know.
supplement is going to be needed. So let's talk a little bit about what makes an omega supplement a higher quality. I know you could talk a little bit about ours, and I know Joe did share in the chat where you can find ours and a discount you could use if you'd like to buy it. And then does it matter? I know there's different forms, like there's a triglyceride versus is it ethyl? ethyl ester.
Ester form. Yeah.
Yeah, so talk a little bit about what makes a good quality supplement. What should we be looking for as far as like dosage and form?
Okay. Some of the things that you're looking at are you want something that is absorbable. So a triglyceride form is very absorbable. The ethyl ester form is not so much. Most of the newer ones are in the triglyceride form. The amount. Okay, so for example, in ours, in the Barton Publishing or the Barton Nutrition. One of the things that we do, and the reason it doesn't say you have to put it in the refrigerator is because there's some vitamin E in there. So added vitamin E prevents oxidation. Vitamin E is a great antioxidant for fatty acids. So a lot of things do that when they have omega-3 oils in them. They'll add vitamin E uh, uh, to prevent oxidation. So if you're eating something like I don't know, almonds or something. The almonds, you wonder, well, why don't the almonds oxidize? The oils don't oxidize. It's because they have a lot of vitamin E in them. And walnuts, on the other hand, I don't know if you've had old walnuts. You can taste the rancidity in them. They go rancid pretty quickly because they're higher in omega-3 and they don't have very much vitamin E in them. So that's one thing that we've done in the supplement is to add that so that it doesn't oxidize. The amount now is kind of important depending on how much you eat, but mostly people are going to need more than 2 grams a day of omega-3 oil. So I recommend 1 gram with each meal. So if you eat 2 meals a day, that would be 2 grams. If you eat 3 meals a day, 3 grams. And that seems to be get people to about most of the time when I test them, they're in the 4-to-1 ratio. They still have a lot of omega-6. So you can't avoid omega-6. There's just no way to avoid it. So, but you lower it as much as possible by avoiding the seed oils and the nut oils, except for chia seeds and flax seeds.
Okay, and say the grams again. You said 2 grams per what?
Well, 1 gram per meal is usually what I recommend. So it'd be at least 2 grams a day. 3 grams is actually probably better for
Okay. So
like
like
everybody can do 3 grams a day and it would do great.
okay, so like if I'm looking at the label on ours, a serving is two soft gels, and that is 2 grams. So maybe one with breakfast, one with lunch. Well, one with each meal would get you 2.5 grams.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right. Just want to make sure we're clear on that. Okay. Now, for those who want to track, all right. So is it is it it should diabetic patients test more often for this, or how can we test? Let's talk a little bit about the testing,
Um,
like to see
uh,
where we're at with our.
yeah, yeah. Uh, It's good to know, but it's not easy to get that test because you have to do an essential fatty acids test. It's also found like on the Boston Heart test that they look at the omega-6 to omega-3 ratio. And the NutriVal test, these are the ones that I usually use that have them. Quest does have a essential fatty acids test that they do in that lab, and of course LabCorp does as well. So you can get them done, but they're not usually ordered. That's the problem. Is you're not
Mhm.
going to automatically get that. So when a doctor does a lipid panel, for example, you go to a cardiologist and say, I need a lipid panel, and they do a lipid panel, and it's going to be lipoproteins. They're not doing lipids. They're doing lipoproteins. They're looking at the proteins that contain lipids, and what you really, or they do triglycerides. Yeah, that's one of them. But they don't do essential fatty acids. And that's what you really want to see is the essential fatty acids. So you have to do an EFA or essential fatty acid test. And when you order that test, then um, again, it's not going to be automatically done. But if you did it, once a year kind of thing, or think of it this way, your red blood cells change out every 3 months, and that's what they're measuring is the membranes of the red blood cells, the membranes around the red blood cells. So if they change out every 3 months and you got a whole new set of red blood cells 3 months from now, then you repeat the test and you can see what your new red blood cells are being made out of, and how that changes. So minimum would be in 3 months to retest. And then I think it's reasonable to add that on to your annual test and just look at it every year. Why? Because it's important, because this is like for diabetes and heart disease and inflammation and arthritis, a lot of the things that people suffer with as we age, and we say, "Oh, I'm just getting old." No, you're not getting old. You just don't have enough omega-3 oils.
Hmm. That lubricant there. Okay,
Yeah.
you referenced a home test in the article. I think it was even like you could order it from Walmart. What is that?
Yeah, I ordered mine from Walmart, and you could just order a test. The thing is, if you order the test from like the home test, they send you a kit. You poke your finger and then put it on the card, and then pop the card in an envelope and send it off. That cost, I remember something like $50, $60, something like
Yeah,
that.
I think actually I clicked the link today. The Walmart one was like 75.
Okay, well, there's three different kinds. There's the basic, and then there's
Mhm.
the advanced one. Anyway, so anywhere from $50 to $75. That's the kind of the range. Um, if you go to Quest and cash pay, and your doctor orders it, your insurance might cover it. Or if you're paying cash, it's like $8.
No, I think that's a better option.
Yeah, I know. It's like totally different.
Okay. Let's see. We have a question wanting to know what omega is grape seed oil and avocado oil. What are they considered?
Okay, grapeseed oil surprisingly has a lot of omega-6 and not very much omega-3. Avocado oil, on the other hand, is a lot of omega-9 and very little omega-6 to omega-3. But that small amount of essential fatty acids, it has 13 times more omega-6 than omega-3. So you're not getting a lot of essential fatty acids, but it's still not a good ratio.
Hmm.
But it's good. Avocado oil is good. That's omega-9 oil. And it's because the tiny amount of omega-6 and omega-3 isn't a big deal. And that's this about the same as olive oil. Olive oil and avocado oil are very similar
Hmm.
oils.
So a good all avocado would be a good swap for a seed oil, like or a canola or something like that.
Yeah, avocado oil or olive oil.
Okay.
Yeah,
We use a
those
lot
they're
of
fine.
avocado. I feel like it's a little milder in taste, maybe not
Yeah.
as, strong. Okay.
I like the avocado flavor.
I
Or and
I, I like,
I
yeah.
like the olive. I like olive oil.
Well,
Yeah.
I like
Yeah.
the olive if I'm dipping bread in it. That's a
Okay.
whole nother story.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. So then Sib wants to know canned herring. Is that good too?
Yes. Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Abraham says, I'm sorry, go ahead.
And canned sardines, and
Okay.
they're great.
Okay,
They're good.
process doesn't matter. That's good. Okay. And then Abraham says, but what if I'm allergic to fish?
I know. Well, there's a website. Hmm, it's on the tip of my tongue. That where it's someone who's vegan and says, well, since I'm not going to do fish oil and I don't eat fish, where am I going to get my omega-3? And she had lupus, and so she cured her lupus. Flax seeds and chia seeds, and so it's out there. You can do flax seeds and chia seeds, and she does something like she makes a smoothie in the morning with kale and then puts a quarter cup of flax seeds or chia seeds in the smoothie that she makes, and that thickens it up.
Hmm.
So yeah, you don't have to have fish, but fish is a convenient convenient way to do it.
Yeah. All right. And then what about coconut oil? I get all mixed kind of signals on coconut oil. Where does it stand? Martha wants to know.
Okay, coconut oil is a great oil and it's good for cooking. It's a saturated fat mostly. Not all of them are saturated fats. It actually has a tiny bit of omega-6 and no omega-3. Um, but it's good for cooking. It has medium chain triglycerides, which your liver makes right into ketones, and so it helps your brain function.
Mhm.
And the saturated fats, it turns out, are really good. That's we talked about that with the flipping over the upside down pyramid, the food pyramid, having all those oils and stuff on top. Um, Meaning the saturated fats on top, including meat and animal products. Yeah, and coconut oil and palm oil actually are okay.
Okay, good. All right, and then I found a really interesting part of the article. I'm going to share my screen here real quick. Are you able to see? This is part of your article. Can you see that?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
The section here about the integrating the fish oil into a metabolic reset. Talk through kind of these steps here as we kind of wrap this up, and then we'll get into some other questions. So tell us a little bit about the steps here that you had and why they're important.
Okay. So the number one part is getting the sugar out of your diet, because when you put sugar and fat together, that's a bad combination. The fat actually makes you insulin resistant. A lot
Hmm.
of people don't know that. If you eat fat, then that makes your oil, fat, lipids. That's all the same thing, right? You guys know that. So if I use oil or I use fat, that's the same word essentially. Um, so uh, if you have something with fats or oils, you're going to be insulin resistant in that. And then if you eat carbs with it, then your insulin goes up a lot because you're not going to be able to get that sugar into your cells.
Hmm.
And because there's the two different signals. One signal is saying, "Hey, we got fats, use fats," and the other one, "Hey, we got sugar, burn sugar. Don't use fat, don't use sugar." So now you get neither.
They're
Um,
confused.
yeah, your cells get confused. So if you're getting a diet low in carbohydrates, then you're not going to have that excess insulin. So
Okay.
getting the right fats without the carbohydrates. So that's why.
Okay.
Regular resistance training and walking. Okay. So when you're exercising, especially with resistance training, walking meaning you're also using um, gravity, your weight bearing. And what happens is your muscles have a mechanism to bring glucose in without using insulin. So remember, insulin is the problem. If you're eating fat and carbohydrate together, you're going to get a lot of insulin, a lot more than you would with either one of them alone. Well, this lowers your insulin. So resistance training, walking, using weight bearing, for all the other benefits you get, it also lowers your insulin level because your muscles don't need insulin to get that glucose in. Okay. So then reduced seed oils and refined carbohydrates. Again, the same thing. The seed oils are the ones that have the omega-6 that are going to have more issues um, with inflammation. And then the refined carbohydrates, the combination, bad combination.
Okay.
Okay, adequate magnesium. Magnesium, there's over 300 enzymes in your body that require magnesium to function. And if you don't have enough magnesium, those enzymes are not going to function well. So magnesium is essential for energy production and for those enzymes that actually make your cell membranes. Chromium is essential for the proper use of glucose. If you don't have chromium, you can't get glucose into cells and you will be insulin resistant, diabetic, just for chromium deficiency and for no other reason. Not because of what you ate, not because of hormones, not because of insulin, just because of a chromium deficiency. And we've had people on this program call us up and say, "Hey, I started Synachroma and everything came back to normal. I didn't
Mm.
change my diet or anything." So they were wondering how come everything came back to normal. Well, it's because you were deficient in chromium, the most likely thing, chromium. Vanadium is also an essential. It's a very tiny amount. Picogram quantities are needed of vanadium, but if you don't have vanadium, the enzyme doesn't work for glucose either. So you have to have that too. Selenium is a common deficiency that's required for several different things for energy production, and two of the biggest ones are glutathione and thyroid. Your thyroid won't work if you don't have selenium. And then vitamin D, oh man, vitamin D is uh, it's as much a metabolic hormone as it is a calcium hormone. So we talk about vitamin D. Oh, you need calcium for your bones.
Hmm.
Yes, but that's a small portion of what it does. It's also a big metabolic hormone, including making you more sensitive to insulin. So that's why those are necessary, and that's why we made Synachroma exactly the way we made Synachroma. That's like
Yeah, I would
essentially,
say the chromium, vanadium, selenium, and vitamin D, that's some of the
yeah.
stuff in synachroma.
Yeah. And
Mhm.
that's why we did that, because we looked around, there wasn't anything else out there that had that. And we said, okay, this is what people need.
Hmm.
And then intermittent fasting,
Yes, talk about the fasting piece.
I wish I could give everybody that knowledge about how fasting is so good for you that it fixes everything. It puts your body into anabolic metabolism, which is the repair, to regenerate, to clean up, all of the cleansing and detox. People say, "Oh, I'm doing a cleanse." What are you doing? Well, I'm eating 5 meals a day with snacks in between, and I'm taking this drink that I'm drinking in between, or the snacks drinking in between meals. No, that's not a cleanse. No, a cleanse is when you don't eat anything. Your stomach is empty, so your liver could go, okay, let's clean all this mess up. And everything gets cleaned up. It's kind of like saying, like during the party, you're going to invite the maid in to start cleaning up while everybody's still milling around with their cocktails. That's not going to happen, and that's the way your body works too. You don't go to the shop and say, "Well, I want you to fix my car, but I need to get to work, so I'm going to drive to work. You fix it while I'm driving." And the repair guy is going to say, absolutely not. That's not going to happen. Well, your body says the same thing. And so the fasting, what it does is it stops everything and allows all the repair and cleansing to happen.
Okay, that's some great information. Thank you. All
Boy,
right.
I think that's the most concise way I've ever put that fasting thing.
I
That's
know.
great.
We're gonna need to snip that out and save it, aren't we? Good job.
Yeah.
All right, let's go on to some other questions here. I know we've got some more in the chat and we have some in the Q&A. All right, so let's talk to, okay, R. Erickson says, when I walk in the late evening, my blood sugar jumps 10 to 20 points and does not drop overnight. What am I doing wrong?
Oh, you're not doing anything wrong. That's not a problem at all. Okay, so when you're walking in the evening, everybody says, well, your muscles, like I was talking about, your muscles open up and let the glucose in, so your blood sugar is going to drop down. Well, as your blood sugar is dropping down, you release a hormone called glucagon. And glucagon goes to your liver and says, "Hey, we're getting a little low on glucose, so start making some more." So your liver starts the process of making glucose, and then so your glucose goes up, and so what you're looking at that overnight is your set point. That is what your natural sugar is. And it's changeable. It's not that it always has to be that. That's like, people have a fat set point where, I'm 200 pounds and I cannot get under 200 pounds. I fast, I don't eat, I eat little bits, and I eat 500-calorie meals, and I get down to 180, and as soon as I start eating regular again, whoop, I go right back up to 200 pounds. There's like a thermostat there that sets it at that and keeps it at that all the time. Your blood sugar is the same way. So what that overnight is telling you is that's your set point. That is where your pancreas, including the insulin glucagon combination and another one called somatostatin, work together to keep it there. And the best reset, by the way, is fasting. Fasting resets it down because it drops the insulin down. Whereas when people eat small amounts frequently, they never get the reset because they keep making insulin. And that's the same with fat, by the way. If you're ever trying to lose weight and you go, why can't I reset that fat thermostat? It's because eating small amounts, small meals, every time you eat, you're making insulin. So you keep your insulin levels up and you never reset the system. It's when the insulin drops down for a period of time that all of that goes away, and you reset it down to a lower level. That's the point.
Okay, very good. All right, let's see what else we have here in the Q&As. All right. Oh, R says, but I'm diabetic and I'm trying to keep the blood sugar low. I do a daily fast once a week and follow the 6-10 rule daily.
Oh, good work. Good
Hmm.
work. Yeah. So 6-10 rule means you're not eating after 6 o'clock, going to bed by 10 o'clock. And that is a really good way to do it, except who was it? Brian Johnson that yeah, he kept moving his 6 o'clock back to 4 o'clock, back to 2 o'clock, and he got to 11 o'clock in the morning. He says, that's my last meal from now on, because that's what it took for him to get his perfect sleep scores.
Oh, wow. Okay, Mary was here with us last week, and she says last week you talked about the replacement for metformin was berberine, one berberine in the AM and one in the PM, one synochroma in the AM and one in the PM, and the fish oil, the omega. How many
Yeah.
milligrams of the fish oil and how many times per day? I'm assuming to replace the metformin.
Oh, yeah. The same thing. You want about 3 grams
Okay.
of fish oil a day, so you're going to take one with every meal.
Okay. All righty. Tom says on February 11th, I had total reverse shoulder replacement surgery. Ouch. Since then, my blood sugar has been all over the place, much higher than normal. Is this normal after surgery?
Absolutely normal. Yes, absolutely
Why?
normal. Because the your adrenal glands are producing a lot of stress hormones, cortisol especially. You're getting insulin resistant, and that insulin resistance though is new to you. So your pancreas is reacting to the high blood sugar by putting a whole bunch of insulin out. Then it drops down, and then when it drops down, it goes, oh no, it's getting too low, and puts out glucagon to tell the liver to make more glucose. So it's going all over the place, and that's kind of a normal thing with that. All of a sudden stressor like surgery.
Okay. Okay. All right. Um, Burl wants to know what is Januvia?
Yeah,
J-A, is
yeah,
it Januvia?
Januvia. That's
And
exactly
how
what it
does it
is.
act? And do any of the supplements do the same thing? So first of all, what is it? I've never heard of it.
Januvia is a medication that works in the kidneys. What it does is it prevents you from reabsorbing glucose. The way the kidneys work is awesome. You guys, this is like the body is so amazing. So what happens is your blood goes through a filter, and it's just like a coffee filter, right? And everything's going through except for the proteins stay in, and everything else goes just drips right out in there. But then in the kidney, you get to reabsorb everything you want. Think about that for a second. The body has a miraculous mechanism for getting rid of every single toxin that it doesn't want without having to even know what it is, because everything goes out, and then the kidney takes in what your body needs and just leaves everything else out. So I don't have to know that that's toxic. All I know is you're out of here in the urine. And that's it. You're done. I'm peeing you out. Um, so uh, so the what Januvia does is it blocks the glucose from being reabsorbed. So your kidney is saying, I need glucose, but that enzyme is being blocked, so it can't be reabsorbed. So, what does that do? Well, that causes sugar to go out in the urine. So you're going to be peeing out extra sugar. So the answer to the question is is there a supplement that does that? No, absolutely not. The best way to do that is to not eat the sugar in the first place. That's the best way to do that. And that's why we have the diabetes solution kit. So if you're on Januvia, you should switch off of that onto the diabetes solution kit. Talk to your doctor about it. Keep your glucose levels. In fact, if you have a continuous glucose monitor, that's a great way to figure all that out.
All right. Great advice there. Okay. I know Connie was talking with Joe a little bit in the chat, but we wanted to kind of get your feedback on this as well. So Connie says, I've been taking Ozempic for weight loss mainly, but want to really get away from the shot because of the side effects. Been listening to a lot of the internet rhetoric, and it seems like everybody has the answer to just take kitchen ingredient, probably remedies, I'm going to guess. I need your honest thoughts about all this stuff sounding off on the internet. What I'm looking for is something natural or a combination of the natural stuff to help lose weight and clear out the fat. I trust your opinion. Wish I could have a phone conversation with you to discuss it in depth, what I need to say, and just pick your brain. So let's pick your brain on natural Ozempic.
Okay, great. So I wrote a couple of articles on Ozempic. One of them for weight loss, or not Ozempic specifically, but the GLP-1 blocker or stimulant uh, agonist. Those medications, I wrote one article for weight loss and one article for diabetes, and they're in Home Cures That Work. So you can read that article and go through, because I talk about specifically what it does, what it is, and what the side effects are, and then how to get off it. Because it's not that easy. Once you've started on Ozempic, you have this GLP-1 being stimulated constantly for 1 week at a time. So every injection you get constant stimulation. Normally, you get 10 minutes every time you eat, and then 10 minutes, and then 10 minutes, and then 10 minutes, and that's it. So you get intermittent flipping of the switch, whereas the Ozempic causes the switch to be on constantly, and the light bulb burns out. So that's what happens. And once your light bulb burns out, you can flip the switch all you want. It's not going to work. And so how do you get off that? How do you change the light bulb? How do you get it back so your switch can work again? And so that's where we talk about that in the article in Home Cures at Work. Um, Basically, the idea is you want to do the same program that we've been advocating for years, is get the diabetes solution kit, start with phase one, and get rid of the excess carbohydrates out of your diet. Fasting periodically is very helpful. In fact, the reset switch for all of um, their peptide hormones, protein hormones, peptide hormones, which includes all of them, ghrelin and human growth hormone and GLP-1. And there's this whole list. If you ever looked at the list, insulin is a growth hormone, glucagon is a growth hormone, is a peptide hormone, growth hormone. And all these peptide hormones control your body, very specific places at very specific times for seconds or minutes. They're not long term, we think of hormones as estrogen and progesterone and testosterone. Those are called steroid hormones, and those are long acting. Peptide hormones are short acting. And so all these people that are trying to get constant stimulation of these peptide hormones, they're not doing themselves a favor. This is not a long-term solution because the light bulb's going to burn out. So
Mm.
how do you get it normally is the best way. So this is where I'm getting to. The reset button for all of the peptide hormones is fasting. That resets everything. It resets your ghrelin. It resets even your in your brain, all the peptide hormones in your brain. Uh, the um, the endorphin system gets reset, meaning your pain goes down. You have less pain. You actually feel less pain. It's not that it's numbing you. You just have less pain because your endorphins work better. Everything is reset during that time. So that is one thing to consider. But the other thing is just get the diabetes solution kit and start the program. It
Mm-hmm.
works.
It does. It does. All right. We talk about fasting so much. Dr. Saunders, I know we're going to need to do an upcoming webinar on fasting, and I know that would break your heart. But how about type in the chat? Yes, if you would like to learn more about fasting. I know it can be, I don't know, it looks a little uncomfortable, scary, whatever, but you mention it so much. I think it would be a great topic. So type in the chat if you're interested in us having a full webinar on fasting.
I thought about it, read about it,
Yeah.
studied it for years before I actually did it. And you know, I had never done a long-term fast. I was thinking about it. I was talking about it, reading about it, telling my kids about it. And so my high school daughter, who was 5'2" and all of, I don't know, 90 pounds, she comes up to me and she says, "Yeah, I just finished a 7-day fast, water fast." And I'm like, "What? You can't do that. You
Oh
don't
my
weigh enough."
goodness.
And she said, "That's why I didn't tell you. That's why I didn't tell you beforehand." So then I thought, you know what? I'm going to do that. So I did. And then since then I've been working on it more, doing it more and more myself.
And the science behind it is amazing. I mean,
Yeah.
I just feel like just so many answers. You're like, well, fasting. I mean, it just comes up all the time. So
It's
we have
not the answer to everything.
not everything, but
Yeah.
looks
I
like
had
we
to,
have a lot of our viewers today who would like to learn more about it. So we will
okay.
get that in the works for sure, for sure. Okay, let's see. Also, I just want to let you all know that I did drop the article or drop the link to the article about omegas that Dr. Saunders wrote that I was referencing today that has a lot of this information in it. So that link is in the chat along with you were talking about the GLP-1s and diabetes. I put that in the chat as well. So there's a couple really good articles and those are going to take you right out to our Home Cares that Work site. Once you get there, you can look for all kinds of other articles that you would like. Just search by topic. Okay, all right, so, oh yes, we have fat. Oh, we have questions on fasting coming in. Ooh, my goodness, how exciting. Okay, um, lots of questions. Okay,
Don't don't get me
so
started.
I know. We only have 3 minutes left. So I'm going to take all those questions that you all asked and I'm going to compile them and we are going to do a webinar in the very near future on fasting. So keep your ears open for that. Okay. Someone wants to know, they said my calcium test score was 10.3. What can I do to lower it?
Okay. That is a very important question because you need to know why your calcium is 10.3. Calcium is an electrolyte that is extremely important. Without it, nothing works. So your blood level of calcium has to be kept in this very narrow range from like 9 to 10. It's got to be some 9 point something. It can be up to 10.1 is like, okay, 10.3 is a little bit on the high side. It's not a lot, but it's still a little bit on the high side. So that's not normal, and you need to know why. So, why is a lot of different problems. You might have a parathyroid tumor, in which case you need, uh, there's four parathyroid glands, and one of them goes wacko and just starts making a whole bunch of parathyroid hormone that goes to your bones and pulls out a whole bunch of calcium, and your calcium goes up. And it's like, what the heck? So the surgeon has to remove that parathyroid gland. You have three more, and they work just fine. So it's not a big deal, but if you don't, what happens? Really bad osteoporosis, and you can get cramps in your muscles and all kinds of other problems with a parathyroid tumor. So that could be a problem. Um, Other things that can do that would be thyroid problems, other hormone problems, including adrenal problems, kidney problems can do that. So look for the cause. Why is that happening? That's what you need to know, and not just say, "How can I lower the the calcium?" Because um, anyway, you don't want to lower the calcium. You want the calcium to be very stable, but you want to know why your levels are high because it could be damaging your body.
Okay, excellent. All right. Let's see, I'm gonna drop if you just go to homecuresthatwork.com, put that in here. Actually, Joe, will you put that in there for the link to the Home Cures That Work website? I know we have people that are looking for different articles. So Joe's gonna drop that link in there. If you go in there and just search, there's a little search area, just put in the topic GLP-1 or fasting or whatever. Dr. Saunders, we have a lot of questions that have come in, and it is the top of the hour about fasting. What do you say about talking about fasting next week?
I'd say that's great.
Okay,
I would really enjoy that.
I think that would be great. So it is official. Join us back here next week, same time, same place, and we're going to have all the information on fasting, all kinds of information on fasting. And so get your questions ready about what reasons you may want to fast, or maybe what's kind of holding you back. Why do you not want to fast? And I think I know what that would be. But Dr. Saunders is definitely experienced in this, and he has done a lot of research. So it isn't just something that he thinks is a good idea. There's science to back it. So he will share a lot of that with us. All right. Well, thank you, Dr. Saunders. I know you
All
have
right.
patients to see.
Yep,
This
I
has
do.
been great, and we look forward to seeing you next week.
All right. Bye, everybody.
All right, just a reminder for everyone who's still here. If you ever want to rewatch any of these webinars, or you want to rewatch previous webinars, if you go to our YouTube channel and you just search for Barton Nutrition on there, you'll find our YouTube channel, and you can go to rewatch any of the live webinars that we have. They're all listed in there by topic. Also, in the description of each webinar, I include links. So a lot of the links we've been throwing in the chat today, I'll copy those and I'll put them out on YouTube for this particular episode. And that way, if you missed it here, you can make sure you have somewhere to grab it. So with that being said, you guys did a great job today. It was so fun to have a lot of interaction in the chat. That always makes it more fun for us, and I think it makes it more valuable for you too. So come on back next week, and we're going to be talking about fasting. I'm very much looking forward to that. So thanks everybody for being here, and we'll see you next week. Thanks for your help today in the chat, Joe.
Oh, of course, no problem. Thanks, Jody. You're awesome. Once
All right.
again, great
Thank
webinar.
you.